Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday personal development call. My name is Amy Homsey, and I'm a senior presidential director with this wonderful company, Lifewave. I feel honored and blessed to be here with each and every one of you, and we have an incredible guest today that we're all going to learn from. And as I mentioned a few moments ago, folks, please get a paper and pencil out or take notes in your phone. I'm more of a note taker, but if you're a techie, you take notes in your phone, whatever works for you, right? Because we're going to have some good nuggets. So with that, welcome, welcome, welcome. I have the honor of introducing our guest today, and I have her bio here, so bear with me. I had to actually make it shorter because we'd be here for about 15-20 minutes, and we can't take up all that time, but I picked the highlights. But we're blessed to have Mrs. Robin Mascari on the line today, coming to us from the beautiful state of Montana. And I'm coming to you from Clearwater, Florida. So we got the East and the West covered. So welcome, Robin.
It's wonderful to be here, Amy. Thanks for the invite.
You are welcome. So let me just give you a little background on Robin. She is a senior presidential director with Lifewave. In fact, she achieved that high status in less than a year with our company, which is incredible, right? But Robin's career, folks, has been all about personal development leadership in the network marketing arena, as well as corporate America. Her whole life has been about helping others to become their best and also develop other leaders. She's been in the network marketing arena for 24 years, has been in corporate America for 25 years. So let me ask you all a question. Do you think she can bring some knowledge to this call? You betcha, right? So 25 years in the corporate world as a trainer. She's also trained trainers. She's a speaker, a coach, has worked with many successful companies all over. And some of you are going to know this next book. Robin was privileged to help launch Stephen Covey's book. We've all heard of it, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And if you haven't heard of it, or you haven't read it, strongly encourage you to do so. But I mean, how powerful is that? She helped with that book. And not only that, she helped launch his program, and it's called Masters of Executive Excellence Program. All right. And she helped with that program for many years, helping people across the globe. So welcome, Robin. I mean, that was a mouthful. Again, I could go on for another 5 or 10 minutes, but we want your knowledge, ma'am. We want your knowledge. So I do have a few questions written down. And if you don't mind, we'll just go back and forth. We'll keep it light. I mean, obviously we want to get your knowledge and get your nuggets, but I also kind of want to keep it light, and we'll go back and forth. So how does that sound?
That sounds wonderful.
Awesome. So first and foremost, I want to know, I'm very curious, how did you get into personal development? Like what made you, pick that as your career and your lifestyle? How did you get in on that path?
It wasn't intentional, let me tell you. My very first job out of college, I got hired by a man named Jack. And Jack, for 44 years, was my mentor. And I moved to a new city, didn't know anyone, answered a blind ad in the paper, got this job, and I got to work with Jack. And the first time we met each other, we fell in love with each other, and I knew I wanted to work with him. And I was working in an environment where everyone loved to go to work. And it was because of Jack, but it didn't matter if they were in order entry or shipping and receiving or the sales department. Everyone loved to be there. And so everyone was growing and the company was healthy. And then after quite a while, Jack left. And then things changed. There were closed door meetings, there was Memo Haven. I had people listening in on my phone calls. It was horrible. And the culture changed dramatically. And so that began me living in the question is, what is it that creates the kind of environment where people want to show up, where people want to work, where people want to give their best. It's like you guys, what you're doing here with the office is amazing. And people want to show up. They want to be together because you guys are feeding each other. So I lived in this question, which is actually one of my favorite tools, is living in the question, but I'll get into that later. So I learned that it was actually leadership, because the leader of an organization creates the culture. We know in Lifewave, we have David Schmidt, and he's created this wonderful, loving, caring culture. You don't often hear people talk about the old school networkers, let's say. I'm not going to get into those details, but it's really about serving people. And my husband and I recently were in a book, and our chapter was called We Grow People. And that has been my love since the beginning. So I started studying leadership, and I worked with, I just consumed every book I could on leadership at the time. And then, it just continued from there. And when I had moved to California, oh my gosh, what year was that? A long time ago, in the 70s, I ended up going to workshops every weekend. And it was like this new thing, this personal development thing. And every weekend I was in a workshop, and I used to go to the store and buy books by the foot and consume them. And I was like fascinated. And it began my journey of, really working on myself and looking at all the different dimensions of what does it take to have a safe, healthy environment where people want to be their best. So that was the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like that. And you're right, because the people at Jack's, business or office had the same jobs, right? Had the same responsibilities when he was there as well as when he left. So Jack was the person that made that an enjoyable environment. So you're right. He had the leadership skills to make people happy and want to come to work, right? And if you're happy and you have good leadership, people are going to work harder, right?
Yeah. If you hold the place for people, and, years ago, when I was new in network marketing, they said, find a mentor. If you want to grow fast, you want to find a mentor. And it doesn't matter what field it is, if it's a activity and, one of your hobbies or business, if you find a mentor, it will speed up your growth. And that mentor holds a vision for you that's bigger than you can for yourself. And Jack did that for me. And when I started in network marketing many years ago, someone told me to do that in this business. And then 4 years later, I married him. So there.
Awesome. I love that story.
Yeah.
And you guys make the perfect pair too. It's awesome.
I didn't get married until I was 51 for my first time, and my only time.
Oh.
And I had a very long list of things, and I wasn't going to settle. My father was a great man, so, I knew what was possible, and I was happy being single. But, I wanted a partner on every level. So, the clarity of what you want. And throughout my career, there's an interesting woven pattern. And it didn't matter if I was doing leadership development work I work with a company called Enlightened Leadership, or I was in the career transition field. I worked with thousands of people in career transition. When they got the pink slip that their position was no longer needed, I was in the next room with a Kleenex box and took them through the whole journey of when they got the notice all the way to, getting their new job. And we did the same thing in all arenas. And that's one of the things I love about this profession is we focused on, before jumping into anything, identifying what's important to you. What do you most highly value? And that's what Stephen Covey did. That's the very first part of the program before you jump into the 7 habits. You identify what's important to you by your values, and values are always true. And if you design your life, whether it's your relationship, your home, your business, by your values, you will be happy. If you compromise one of your top values, it will never work. It just doesn't work. And that was consistent and has been throughout my career of really, and right now I'm coaching my grandson, who just graduated high school at age 18 with his girlfriend. They're heading off to college. And my son, my youngest son, who just got his master's degree, because they're at this, early stage of life. And I love working with them and planting the seeds of really looking at what's important. Like for me in a home, I'm a vision person. Having a view is not a luxury for me. It's a necessity. Having natural beauty around is a necessity, having natural light. So if my home does not have those things, I will not be happy. And so you do that with your life, with your home, with your relationship, with your work. And it works. It absolutely works.
I agree with that. I love that. Awesome. And your family's so blessed to have all this knowledge that you can help them, right?
I told my husband to stop volunteering me to do resumes because I have done thousands of resumes. I do not do that any longer, but I certainly know how. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So like everyone, we have challenges, right? There's ups and downs in life. There's peaks and valleys. It just comes with the territory. So was there a time in your life, Robin, that you experienced hardship and, that hardship, after you experienced it, how did you transition through it?
Well, many, many years ago, when I very first moved to California, in the late 70s, I was part of this breakfast group, and we studied Napoleon Hill's success principles. I was in a breakfast group, and we went every week, we'd go through his principles. And, it was really instrumental to me because I still quote Napoleon Hill. When something challenging happens, whatever it is, I quote Napoleon Hill, who said that, with every adversity is the seed of equal or greater benefit. So when something happens that's challenging, and we've all had things happen, and I'll get into a few of the things that happened to me personally and professionally. Horrible things, challenging things, but I always come to that quote first. And, if it's a really, really big one and a really challenging one, I say, I can't wait to see the good out of this one. And there always is. So, for instance, I'm just going to start out with this one because it's relevant for why we're all here today. I had a very, very challenging knee replacement. It was really difficult and I needed another one. I cried for a year. I got kicked out of physical therapy after a year. I was on Dilaudid, which is a really hardcore narcotic, for 4 months. It was bad. And that got me into researching stem cells. And, Gregory, God bless him, was willing to, out of pocket, $12,500 for a single injection with no guarantee. And then I got the famous call from a friend, and Kai Jacobson, who said, there's a new technology that activates your own stem cells with your body heat. And I said, how fast can I get it? I was probably the easiest sale ever. I was on this end, and you can go all the way this one. So
and timing is everything, Robin.
You just don't know. And I put the patch, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how much it cost. I didn't know how it worked. I just wanted it. And I put it on C7. And a week later, my bone on bone knee pain was gone, gone.
Wow.
And fast forward almost 5 years later, and we're getting close to 160,000 people, of which all of you are part of. Thank you very much. Our organization, it's really that mindset that is the important part when something happens. And, back in 2019, New Year's Eve day, we got the phone call you never want to get. Marcy's had that phone call. I know several others have had that phone call, and it was, Gregory got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So this was, we got this on New Year's Eve in 2019. We'd been using the patches for about a year and a half, and it was very, very, very difficult. Now, I constantly, when things like that happen, you have to make a decision. And the first phone call I made was to my mentor and, my coach of 30 years. She's always my first phone call, good, bad, challenging, whatever, to see the bigger picture. And she said that the key to healing is forgiveness and all healing. And that deeply touched me. And Gregory did very, very deep work. And he went from stage 4 lung cancer to no evidence of disease in 4 months. And
Amen.
we threw
Amen.
the book at it, but this is the most powerful tool we have, is what goes on between our ears. So, when things are challenging, to make sure that we keep our brains fed with healthy things, listening to Joe Dispenza, life affirming music. I would sing to him. I was like, I had to hold the space, even though he had gotten down to 110 pounds.
Mm.
He was on 24/7 morphine with oxycodone and supplemental oxygen, and it didn't look
Wow.
good. It did not look good at all.
No.
But I just kept singing and holding that vision, and that got me through it. And for those of you that have seen Gregory, he's fine. He's totally fine.
Wow. Thank God for that. Amazing. I love it. So you always revert back to what? Positive quotes, your books, positive thinking. Is that what gets you through the hardest times?
There's an interesting distinction. I worked with a company called Enlightened Leadership for several decades, and that's where I, trained trainers and taught people about something that, another time we can probably do something on this, the distinction between a positive attitude and a forward focus. Just because you're positive doesn't mean you're going to get what you want. But it's really, this is the most powerful tool. So is it focused on where I want to go or where I don't want to go? And that was incredibly helpful to me, is, living in questions, creating open-ended questions. What's next? What's the next? Gregory and I say this all the time. What's the next lighted step? What do we have control of right now that's going to move things in a direction we want to go? So that tool has been incredibly valuable for me in my life, and to help people, because, Stephen Covey, I'll share a bunch of Covey things because they fall out of me, because I taught 7 Habits for so long. But he shares this story of this man who's in his car with his map, and he's lost, and he's following this map, and he's still lost, and he's really got this best attitude about it. But he's in Chicago and the map is Detroit. It doesn't matter how great your attitude is if you're not moving in the direction you want to be going. So that's
Great point. Great.
It is a really good point. Yes. Yes.
Wow. So in the low points of your life, and we've all had them, what did you revert to support you and remind you of your alignment for your particular path? Because, Robin, we're all on our own journey, right? So what did you revert to in your low times in your life?
I've been through all kinds of challenges, health-wise, financially. It's where is the mind, and really, really focusing, because it's easy. I remember many years ago, I was in really horrible financial state, and I'd open my eyes, and right in front of my face would be, this filter of all this money I owed. And I had to do a lot of work on myself to really shift my mindset. And so I focused on, the abundance of nature. I remember walking outside and seeing the thousands of berries everywhere, and that nature is abundant, the natural laws. So staying focused on what is true and real, and, values are always true, no matter where you are in the world, no matter what culture you're in, they're all the same. And I learned that whatever it is, as bad as it is, to embrace it and bless it. And from that place, the transformation will happen easier, no matter how horrible it is, whether it's a disease or a business failure or whatever. I mean, we had a company it was one of the worst experiences of network marketing that anyone can have. But for some reason, there was a gift in there always. And so, it's really making that mindset and blessing it all is one of my favorite tools to do, because that will transmute the energy to help it, again, move forward instead of stay stuck. When we complain about what's wrong, we get more, of what we focus on. And so that tool of where's the focus? Where do you want it to be? Where do you want to go?
Yes, I agree with that. And I also had a bad experience as well. So maybe we'll have that conversation another time. But you're right, there are many blessings that come out of it. And I'm a big believer in let's focus on what we have, not what we don't have, right? Because none of us are perfect and none of us have a perfect life. And we all are going to have challenges. I don't care who we are. But a lot of times you just have to stop, just like Robin said, and say, every day I wake up, thank you, God, for this business. Who could I bless today? Put someone in my path that needs this. So focus, folks, on the positive things. And I love what Robin said about nature, right? I always feel better in the sun or going for a walk. And I believe that's how we're designed, right? Get back to nature and let's take care of ourselves. I had to learn that the hard way, being a woman and being a wife and a mom and a grandmother and all that, helping everyone else. So sometimes we have to have that balance and we have to take care of ourselves. So I love that. So here's another great question. And I try and train on this a lot because sometimes people have to think about it. Robin, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? And not only that, Robin, why is it important to know both of them?
Thank you for asking that. And there's, I don't know if you're familiar with the Strength Finder. Are you familiar with that book, Amy?
I am not, but I will be now.
Strength Finder. It's from the Gallup organization, and the most successful organizations, because they come from the corporate world and leadership development, you always want to look at what's working. And what they discovered in the corporate world is, and this is true in life, we all have strengths and weaknesses. And instead of being in an organization and trying to build your weakness up, you want to operate from your strengths. And then you want to find the synergy and the complementariness with the other people on the team. That's why you have teams, you have different skills and talents. But, if I look specifically at our profession, what my strengths are is, and this is interesting because I just flew back from Costa Rica the other day, and I was listening to a LinkedIn show on the airline. They have these little mini classes, and it was a Harvard professor talking about curiosity, the importance of curiosity in life. And it was, I'm naturally curious. Some people have their mediums of paint and, they do this, they write, they do this, that. My medium's always been people. And I'm just curious. And so I ask a lot of questions. And from that place, you get to learn about people, and people love to share about themselves. Another Covey quote, my favorite one, by the way, and I'll write it down because most people always want it written down, or someone else can write it for me. The deepest need of the human soul is to be appreciated, acknowledged, affirmed, and understood. And if we take the time to really understand someone, they will open up. And Stephen used to talk about, it's not about listening to get the, peel off the layers of the onion. He used to talk about the layers of the artichoke, because you peel off the layers of the onion, you end up with the middle of an onion. But you peel off the layers of an artichoke. When you truly listen and understand people, what do you have? It's the heart. And so taking the time to really be there for people and get to know them, because we are in a relationship business first and foremost. And we all know those people that when we see them show up on caller ID, we know they're calling to pitch us on something. It's the only time we ever hear from them. But then there's those other people that you see them and you want to be excited to pick up the phone because they care about you. So
Right.
being curious is a really important one for our profession. I connect easily. And many years ago, when I was in the career field, they asked me to do a seminar on networking, because everyone always called me this great networker. But honestly, it was an unconscious competence. And I remember a manager I had many years ago. I don't know if anyone familiar with Michael Gerber's work, The E-Myth, anyone? It's a book called The Entrepreneurial Myth. And I've been blessed to work with a lot of people and help launch their books. And the E-Myth is why most small businesses fail. But what he talked about, now I lost my train of thought. Let me come back to that. What were we talking about? Okay, I'll think of We're
Can,
talking
can,
about strengths.
can you do me a favor real quick? Can
Yes.
you please say that quote again by Stephen Covey, your favorite one, please?
Yeah.
I want to make sure people got it, okay?
Yeah, the deepest need of the human soul is to be appreciated, acknowledged, affirmed, and understood.
That's so powerful, and it's so
I-
true.
and it doesn't matter if I would do a keynote speech for, a talk for an hour. I do a week-long program, a day-long program, that quote always comes out because
Mhm.
that will be a great guide for life. Well, let me talk about a few other strengths and then I'll get into weaknesses too.
Thank you, Janice, for putting that in the chat.
Beautiful.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
why I love this team, Robin, because there's no
Everybody
I in team. There's no I in team, and we help each other. I mean, even though we're SPDs and we train our team, I learn from my team every day. And I love it that we could collaborate and work together. So I just had to say that. So thank you, Janice.
Yeah, no, it's so true. This is a team sport and leaders are learners. And so, I just have this appetite to continue to learn and try new things. And that's something that's, I think, really important for developing new neural pathways too, is to constantly be learning. As a young child, I I always had the biggest budget on greeting cards. I was the one that always stayed in touch with everybody and remembered everybody's birthdays. And, it's like all these years later, my next birthday, I'll be 70, all these years later, they still remember that I remembered them. And, and we have much easier ways to stay in touch than sending greeting cards out. But I always had the biggest long distance bill. And it's a good thing I worked for Sprint one time because I had unlimited when we used to have pay by the minute. Some of you might remember that. But, staying connected to people. And I married into a very large family, which is really wonderful. And Marcy and I have this similarity. We have a large capacity to love a lot of people. And, I consider that. What'd you say?
I said it's a great quality.
And Gregory kind of looks at me, goes, I don't know how you do it, but it's just, I've always done it. It's just part of my wiring. And, it's being involved in the 7 habits, it gave me an amazing education to get educated on the importance and power of empathic listening. And there's always work to do on that one, always work to do. But right now I'm dealing with a very difficult situation with someone, and she did not get heard by the company, and she's escalated things, and it's gotten icky. It's escalated to the legal department. And so I'm taking the time to just be empathic with her and develop relationship with her and just get her calmed down so we can get to resolution. And that can make a huge difference, in diffusing things. One of the men I worked with, his name is Tom Crum, and he's a master at conflict. And typically in conflict, we're like this. But what he taught in conflict is the most important thing is to start with vision. So your energies are aligned when you start. You're moving the energy in the right direction, and it's much easier to figure out the differences. So those are some of my strengths. Some of my, what you call weaknesses, whatever you want to call them. Structure is not one of my strengths. Following up is not one of my strengths. When I started with Lifewave, I kept a spreadsheet and I had a list of everyone I'd reached out to, and I'd highlight them when they became involved. And I said, honey, they call me back. I've never had that happen before. I wasn't so good at following up, but they called me back because they wanted it. And I went, well, this is fun. This is the most fun I've ever had doing a business. So it was great. As you shared earlier, being a woman and our tendency is to care for others. And, I have this mama hen kind of personality. And when I go to events, and we usually have very large teams at events, and I kind of have to corral the chicks a little bit. And, the focus on self-care is really, really important. And it's definitely been one of my lifelong learnings and lessons. And sometimes, things happen and it forces you to do that. So, and one of the keys to being successful in this business is consistency.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I have work to do in that arena too. I have a lot of work to do in a lot of areas, and I love learning from my team all the time. And we have a very collaborative team also in our Live Younger community. So, there's always work to do.
I agree. And I love that, right? And I love your transparency. And I love that you know what your weaknesses are, which is going to help you work on them, right? I mean, how can you change something if you're not aware of it? And you have to acknowledge it, because we all have them. And I'm a big believer in people don't care what you know until they know that you care.
That's so
So
true.
we
And
just talk about relationships.
you said something really, really important, Amy. And the main distinction between man and animal, the stimulus response, we have the power to choose. And so until we're aware, we don't know. But once we become aware, then we have the power to choose and have it be different if we want. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. So here's a really good question. And I always think about this myself. If you could go back to your 20-year-old self, Robin, okay, what advice would you give yourself at 20 years of age?
Well, it's actually what I'm doing with my grandson, his girlfriend, and my son, is really taking the time to live in the question of what I most highly value and make decisions in my life. I did that in an unconscious level because early on in my career, I changed jobs a lot, and I wasn't conscious about it, but I always went, okay, I like this about this job and not this. I want more of this and less of that. And I did change jobs a lot early on in my career, and I kept refining it and fine tuning it. So I was unconsciously doing it, but to do it consciously, because I believe our profession is one of the greatest things available to truly design your dream lifestyle. And it's different for every person. Some people want to be out and do meetings and some people don't. And some people, we all can decide how we want, and we get to cherry pick our business partners and be clear about what kind of people we want in our life. And when someone's new, I do this when I'm just getting them onboarded. I say, you get to cherry pick your business partners. What are the qualities and characteristics of the people you want to have in your life? If I would have known that earlier, I would have moved quicker through things. Also, I would have listened to my father, who said, let your money work for you. That would have been really smart. And learning about, I had been introduced to the concept of residual income, but I didn't really grok it for quite a while. So really looking at, I know that one of my greatest memories is when I threw up my cap at graduation. I went to a college where everyone went to graduate school except me. I'm the only one I knew that did not go to graduate school. I went to the University of Michigan Business School, and when I threw up that cap, it's like freedom. And I realized at that point, I was 22, not 20, but I realized, freedom is a really important thing. I get to make every decision and do it just the way I want. And so to be clearer and looking back at what are those things that really are important to me, deep connection, quality relationships, nature, all those things. If I would have been, I unconsciously chose them, but I would have a lot more freedom in my life, which is one of my highest values, if I would have consciously chosen early on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I love what you brought up about your kids and your grandchildren, because I'm a grandmother now as well. And it's different, isn't it, when you're with your grandchild than when you were raising your children, because a lot of times you're stressed out, you're overwhelmed, you're working and trying to put food on the table. But with your grandchildren, we're in a different stage in our life, and also we've learned a lot and we have much more experience. And now we know who we are. So now we could take the time and model that and teach them our experiences. So I love that. I mean, oh my gosh, I hope you're all taking notes. Please tell me you're taking notes. This is amazing. And this will be on Telegram. So you want to listen again, which is what I'm going to do. I took a few notes, but I wish I could take more. So, all right. So I want to talk about, I know you've been in the industry for 24 years and you've been with Lifewave for many years. If you would, please share with us, and I know everyone's business is different and we all have different goals and we all have different personalities, different styles. But if you would, please share your best tips and nuggets, Robin, of what you've learned in this industry and how it could help. Maybe there's some brand new people on this call today, or fairly new people. What tips or nuggets do you have to impart on us?
Okay, I love that one. Well, it's interesting. I just had a call this morning with a woman who wanted to know how to reach out to this chiropractor that has this big business. And prior to that, I talked to her sponsor to learn a little bit more about her, to realize she knew nothing about our profession. So I would start there. Become a student of our profession. When I first started, someone shared a product with me. This was in the first company I was with back in 2000. They shared a product. I had a great result. I was a customer. I could not share. And every month my check doubled. I didn't know what was going on. I had no training. I had no support. I knew nothing. My upline knew nothing. And then I realized on my own, I think I better learn about this business model. So I recommend everyone be a student, because success in a conventional business does not translate. This business is about simplicity and duplication. So you want to, and when I started with the business, I started and Gregory was doing something else, finally said, "You're having too much fun making too much money. I better join you." But Gregory is the master of creating systems and tools. And success in our profession comes from simplicity and duplication. So what you guys do, you're consistently here. You know what works. 331 works. Being consistent works. But really, one of my favorite quotes is from Darren Hardy, and I recommend everybody listen to Darren Hardy. He had an audio that I was able to get in a CD form many years ago, after I had fallen into every landmine you can in this business, because I didn't know what I was doing and I had no one helping me. And he said, if you're talking, you're pointing to a tool. Networkers talk too much. We need to ask questions and listen. But it's really about knowing the tools. You guys have amazing tools and systems. Point to the tools. And so I work with a lot of our healthcare practitioners, MDs, NDs, DCs, acupuncturists, and they're used to being an expert. And so they can help themselves, so I wear this funny hat and I wear this other hat. Said, okay, when you're in your clinic and you're working with your patient or client, you get to be the expert. When you're building your networking business, you take the hat off, you put your X39 cap on, you have focus. When you're talking, you're pointing to a tool. And so that's a muscle that a lot of people need to develop. And it's something that takes time and awareness, because it's very different. If someone asks a question, you want to answer it.
Yes.
But in this business model, that is not duplicatable. You are not duplicatable. Systems duplicate, people don't. So you want to use systems, and you want to be, and to realize that, here's a quote I got from someone in a business that didn't work out, but I got this one quote and it's worth the whole thing. And she said, success is not magical, it's mathematical. Continue to do the practices and use the systems and tools, and be here a year from now. Make that decision. You talked about making a decision. It's really, really important, because there's not a straight line. It's like all over the place. So you make a decision, I'm sticking it out. And to understand, the time money continuum. In the early days, you work really hard and you hardly make any money. And then later on, if I never worked again, the money's going to keep coming in.
Yes.
So let's see. And to remember that this is a team sport. And when Gregory started this business many, many years ago, he's been around about 35 years full-time, a professional networker. He thought, oh, I don't need to do three-way calls. I had my own business. I understand all this and this and this. And he didn't do three-way calls. And he was not making it. And he had mouths to feed. And he finally had the sponsor, Bob. And Bob said, if you don't do three-way calls, I won't work with you. So we started doing three-way calls. And then boom, 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 boom. They signed up, they signed up, they signed up. They were open, they were interested. The three-way call is magic. Get really, really good at it on all different aspects of it. And, you know, this call that I was on today with this woman, she's not frontline to me, but I treat her like frontline because her sponsor is not active, who I did sponsor. And, you know, I learned a little bit about this woman ahead of time. So I knew my strategy going into that three-way call, that it was going to be very different than the woman intended it to be. Because I really kind of said, if you don't have a relationship with this practitioner, they get, you know, they get pitched all the time, you know, large chiropractic business. If you don't have a relationship, don't waste your time, you know, or take the time to develop a relationship, because they won't listen to you unless you have a relationship. And so it's a relationship business first. And so you want to connect with someone and you want to find out what's important to them. We like to use the magic wand. You know, if I had this magic wand and you can have one thing that would make the biggest difference in your health, what would that be? And how would that change your business? Yeah, how would that change your life? And then you ask the same question for business, because many times people that have time don't have money. People that have money don't have time. So that usually happens because people that have a lot of money, well, they're always busy and they don't have time. Well, would you like to have more time to spend with your family and do the things that are important to you? So those are really important pieces. Let me see. Stay plugged in. You guys are masterful at that. You have a lot going on. You know, you want to be where the fire is. You want to hang out where the juice is, because that's what you're looking for, is the people that have the juice, that are excited. So stay plugged into your team and all the events and things that are going on, the bigger events, the conferences. You know, we have our big event coming up in Orange County that I'm going to see a lot of you at, which will be really fun. So let's see, I said, be a student of the profession. The quote from Jim Rohn, you know, was
my favorite. I was going to talk about him.
He's a great favorite to have. You know, he said, work twice as hard on yourself as you do in your business, because you are your business. And I think, you know, the reason that I love this profession so much, my husband and I call it a greenhouse. It's a safe place for people to grow into their potential. You know, we have the products, we have the opportunity, we have the community. I love them all. But what I love most is when I can witness someone blossoming into more of themselves. That's what gets me excited. Someone who's afraid to pick up the phone, someone who's never spoken in front of people before, someone who's never done anything like this, and to see them blossom, that gets me more excited than some big producer. I mean, that's me, because that's been my world and my field. And, you know, that's the chapter in the book we wrote is, you know, we grow people. That's what we do. And when people grow, guess what? Their business grows. And I know that whatever is up for me or anyone else is in this business, it's going to show up. So welcome it, work on it, transform it, and it will absolutely affect your business. Those are a few
Absolutely. I just want to piggyback on that, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I am one of those people, and I've been in this industry for 30 years, and I tell people all the time, Robin, even if you don't make a lot of money in network marketing or with a business that you're currently with, the self-improvement is well worth it. This industry has changed my life. Okay. And I've told my story before, but I don't want to get into the whole thing, but it has literally changed my life. And it is powerful. And when I saw the Lifewave opportunity, first of all, I got results with the product. So I can never do anything unless I believe in it and I use it. And, you want to be a product of the product. So you want to wear the products, right? And I tell the team, Robin, all the time, you don't have to know everything. All right. So some of us are more analytical than others. And I'm not a very analytical person. On some things I may be, but not overall. But when I first came here, Robin, I was overthinking it because honestly, it was so flippin' simple. I kept saying, there has to be more. Right? I felt like I'm missing something. There has to be more. So for the first month, I wasted time because I was trying to figure it out. And then it dawned on me after I slapped myself, like, no, dummy, it's this simple. So folks, if you're brand new in the line, be coachable. I don't care where you come from, who you are. I don't care if you're successful or if you're a multimillionaire in another industry or you're a business owner. This is different. Like Robin said, we have to keep it simple. We want to be master inviters. You don't have to know everything about the science. I don't want a bunch of people out there trying to be a scientist. You are not a scientist. You are not a doctor. What you are is people who care genuinely about others. And your job is to get this information in front of other people. All right. Also, people do not want to be sold. They want to buy. So truly care about them. Your job is to share the information, is to share. So I don't look at myself as a salesperson. You don't look at yourself as a salesperson, Robin. You look at yourself as you care about people. We have the best flipping product in the world. Okay. I like to also say, Robin, I'm bulletproof. I know you're bulletproof with this product in this company. So for those of you on the line who are brand new to this industry, first of all, welcome. But I will tell you, Robin and I have seen the good, bad, and ugly in this industry. We are with the best company, the best community. By the way, the thing that really set me on fire is we have zero competition. And I want you all to think about that. I love this industry. There's a lot of good products, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of supplements. There's a lot of collagen. There's a lot of protein, right? A lot of skincare. It's all good, but we are the only ones in this industry that have this product. There's a patent on the X39 for the next 17 years. No one else can have it. So I want you to think about that. I want you to write that down, folks. We have something no one else can have. And that's really what got me torqued. And I couldn't even sleep. I was so excited, right? So don't throw up on people. I tell people, don't throw up on them. Like Robin said, when we're so accustomed to, if someone asks us a question, to answer it, because we were raised that way since childhood, right, Robin? Don't be rude, answer questions. But we simply want to, folks, send them to the podcast, send them to startx39now.com. If I'm talking to someone and they have a certain issue, I send them 1 or 2 testimonials on Telegram. I'm not sending them 10, 20, 30. I'm not overwhelming them. Keep it simple. We have the best tools, Robin.
Let me add to something you said, because you made me think of several things, Amy. Thank you. Our job, like you said, is to become master inviters. And our job is, when someone's interested, to find out what their appetite is for information. So our job is to give people enough information to make an informed decision. Well, how do we know how much information they want? You ask them. So I'd say, Amy, she said, I want to know more. I said, would you like a lot or a little or somewhere in between? Mm-hmm. And so I have a variety of things. Like this last week when I was in Costa Rica, I was working with, all doctors. Well, we can assume that they went, oh, that reminds me, I got to send some to Dr. Arturo.
Don't forget that.
Right. I met this amazing functional medicine doctor. Oh my God. And he's actually going to test himself and several of his patients before and after on his stem cell multi-million-dollar equipment to get the range of growth of stem cells. Very exciting. So it's really giving people what they want. Like I was one extreme. I needed nothing. Mm-hmm. And then let's say Dr. Arturo, he wants all the studies, he wants this and this and this. So I have a collection of things that I give to people that want a lot. And in our group, we have a site similar to Start X39 now. And we also really use the app a lot. And so there's certain, videos that we use from the app. So that tool really works. And we can send several different videos. So, there may be someone who wants to hear more about the benefits versus someone who wants to hear more of the science. So there's the 18-minute or the 20-minute. So we want to give people enough of the right information to make an informed decision. And that makes all the difference for a lot of people. Another thing that is really crucial that you reminded me of, Amy, is success in life, not just in our profession, really comes from belief. And if someone is stuck, let's say they're working really hard, but they're not getting anywhere. So I'll stop and I'll do a belief assessment on a scale of 1 to 10. What's your belief in the product, the company? What's your belief in the profession? And what's your belief in yourself to be successful? If anything is lower than an 8, I know that's where my work is with them, because that lowest number is going to affect every other one. If people have the belief, they can go anywhere. And the belief in our profession seems to be a challenge for a lot of people because they don't know our profession. So that's why I say be a student of our business model. My sponsor is Dr. Nicholas and Dr. Joan. And she comes from a very significant business finance background before she went to chiropractic college. And she noticed that she had a lot of judgment about this business model. Oh, it's going to ruin our practice and all this stuff. And then she decided to become a student of the business. And the more she learned, the more fascinated she became. Because I know that if someone, I am definitely bulletproof about this business model. If someone has judgment about it, I know they just don't understand what it is. If you look at a lot of your lives and my life, I have a dream life. I have freedom. I have flexibility. I get to work with whoever I want to work with. I have residual income. When Gregory was sick, the money kept coming in. I did not have the stress of finances, so I could put my time where it was most important, being a caregiver.
Yes.
And so belief is crucial. And when someone is stuck and you can find, oh, they don't have the belief in themselves. So then there's resources to support that. There's resources to help people build belief in any one of those areas. So to me, that's one of the key ingredients in success in life. You got to believe in yourself. If someone believes in themselves, get out of the way. They're going to figure it out, So I thank you for reminding me about that one.
No, I love it. Love the nuggets. Absolutely love it. And you're right. But folks, just stay plugged in. But like Robin is saying, listen to the people you're talking to. Don't look at it through your eyes only. And it's human nature a lot of times to do that. So someone that I'm talking to may be interested in more of the science than I was. All I needed was the person who gave me patches. I respected them. Okay. I used the patches and I got a result. So that's really all I needed. Right. But we're all different. So don't assume that they're like you. And if you're an analytical person, you want all this information, they may not want the information. On the other hand, if you're like me and don't need all the information, as long as it makes sense and it isn't something really cuckoo, right? I'm going to be open. But if they want the information and you're still yakking, trying to sell them, you're going to turn them off. So that is why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. So always be respectful of that. So Robin, is there any last words of wisdom that you want to close with? Because, oh my gosh, this hour flew by. Nope, we may have lost her. Looks like we lost her. All right, guys. So I'm going to close it out. First of all, thank you so much for being on here. This has been recorded. I highly recommend you going into Telegram and watching this over and over again. I know I will be. Look into these books, look into Jim Rohn. Another favorite of mine is Robert Kiyosaki. All right. And I know Robin mentioned Stephen Covey. This is about personal development, folks. Whether you do this business or not, it's going to benefit you. We all need that, right? So get plugged in, stay plugged in, follow this system. And Jenny, I want to quote what you're saying in the chat. We talk about it on our team all the time. It's the mission before the commission. All right. Now, I say that unless I'm talking to someone who wants to know what the compensation plan. If I'm talking to a business owner or I'm talking to a network marketer, they want to get right to the point, then that's fine. But for the most part, folks, it's the mission before the commission. Be on a journey to go out there and share this powerful product with as many people as you can and make a difference in their life. And a lot of times those people will turn around. Once they get a result, I've had so many people say, I don't want to do the business. I don't want to do the business. But I'm not talking to you about the business. I'm talking about let's improve quality of life. Let's see what this product can do. And once they get a result, 99% of the time, they're out there inevitably talking to people. And one more thing, guys, and just because someone says no, doesn't mean it's no forever. And don't take the no personally. We have no idea what someone is going through. Timing is everything. The key is to follow up, because I've had people join my team a year later, 2 years later, because they saw that I was consistent. So Robin, are you back on, my dear?
I am. I don't know. My computer just went away and it was plugged in. So sorry
It's
about
okay. I want you to close this out. I mean, this hour flew by. So just close us out with whatever's on your heart.
Oh, one of the things that I learned long ago is the most fun wins. You become magnetic when you're having a good time, when you're living your life based on what's important to you. People want, model the lifestyle that other people want, that you want. I made a mistake in the first company I was with, and I got to the top level. And one of my star leaders, she said, if being a diamond is the lifestyle you have, I don't want it. And that was a huge flag for me. So make sure you let people know you're living a wonderful life. Take time off in the middle of the day. Go, honey, you want to go for a bike ride? I typically, I go to my Pilates class in the middle of the day. I do that. I work a lot, but I take care of myself and I do things and I share pictures of your lifestyle. It's really a wonderful thing. And really design. You have the opportunity to design your lifestyle just the way you want it for what's important to you. So live in those questions. What do I most highly value? And gradually, it's a process. I mean, I've been coaching my son for a long time. I say, look at my life. I live in magnificent beauty in a beautiful home with an amazing family, with work that's making a difference, with unlimited potential, helping people grow and change their lives. I have a wonderful life. We all have that opportunity to do that. And that's what people want. So be the model of that. And Amy, thank you so much. This is wonderful to be invited here. And thank you all for taking the time to work on yourself. It will pay off.
Thank you so much, Robin. We so appreciate you. And I appreciate all of you on this line. Go out and be blessed and help as many people as you can, folks. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.